Good morning, Year 9. I hope you're well and having a lovely day. Please would you write the date and title, and the title is a model essay. For this lesson, you'll need a copy of the exam question, your notes from this term's work, and different coloured pens and highlighters. So you'll do now. Summarise this play in 3 sentences to someone who has never seen it. Pause the video for 5 minutes to do this now. Okay, reviewing the play. Before we look at an exam question, let's do a review of the play and its different subplots. I've left blank the scenes you need for each plot. Use your notes to fill in brief details for each scene on your copy. Remember that you've already done notes on Claudio and Hero and Beatrice and Benedict that could help you with this. If you find this task difficult, just do the Don John column, as we'll need that information for today's lesson. Pause the video for 15 minutes to do this now. So how is Shakespeare assessed at GCSE? I'd like you to take notes from what's on the slide. At GCSE, you'll be given a choice of 2 questions to answer on the Shakespeare text you have studied. You have 45 minutes to answer. One of these questions will come with an extract to explore and use quotes from, but the other requires you to work entirely from memory. Both questions will require you to write about at least 2 moments, so knowing quotations is important for either question. The essay question will expect you to demonstrate clear points which answer the question and argue an idea, evidence from the text, literary terminology, analysis of language and structure, and also reference to context. Pause the video to make notes. So let's take a look at an example question. Pause the video to read through it now. So if you look at the top, this is the extract question, and we're going to work on examples like this. If you look at the bottom, that's a discursive question, and we'll look at examples like that next year. So stage 1, pick out what the question is focusing on. Explore how Don John is presented as a villain in the play and how his actions are shown to be destructive. So I've highlighted the key aspects of the question for you. This question is about Don John's villainous and destructive behaviour. So now I'm going to look for anything in this section that shows that he behaves as a villain or wants to destroy things. Spend 5 minutes reading through and picking out anything you can that shows his villainous behaviour in this scene. Highlight and annotate. So these are some things you may have picked out. Stood out against your brother. He has a history of going against authority. Frame the season for your own harvest. He needs to prepare for his own harvest, suggesting he will benefit later if he plans to. Implies deception. A canker in a hedge, then a rose in his grace. Canker means rotting or destructive. It better fits my blood to be disdained. Reference to blood implies context of humours, suggesting he is a melancholic person and can't be changed. He's okay with being hated. I'm a plain-dealing villain. He self-identifies as a villain. You've got animalistic language of cage and muzzle, suggesting he feels trapped, limited, and wants to get out of these constraints society has placed on him. And then you've got, if I had a mouth, I would bite. If I had my liberty, I would do my liking. You've got repeated patterning of if I, showing his thoughts and desires for destruction. Animalistic language, again with bite, indicates his desire to cause harm. Just as a point on one of my earlier notes, I think it was meant to say reference to blood implies context of honours, so not humours. So do make a note of what's on the slide now. Okay, so next we have to consider other parts of the play you could refer to. This question is about Don John's villainous and destructive behaviour. Make a list of other moments you might refer to in answering the question. Do any quotations come to mind? Spend 5 minutes doing this now. So you may have said Act 2, Scene 1, when Don John tells Claudio that Don Pedro is seeking Hero for himself. You may have chosen Act 2, Scene 2, when Borachio tells Don John about his relationship with Margaret and the opportunity to con Claudio again. Perhaps you chose Act 3, Scene 2, where Don John tells Claudio and Don Pedro that he believes Hero to be unfaithful. Or maybe Act 3, Scene 3, where Borachio is overheard by the watch describing the moment when Claudio saw him. Or maybe Act 4, Scene 1, when Claudio publicly shames Hero, the last scene we see Don John in, and he's very quiet. Do you make a note of those moments now? I think Act 2, Scene 2 is the best example of Don John plotting, and I can remember some quotes from it. I think you can too. So these are some key quotes that I would like you to jot down. Any bar, any cross will be medicinable to me. Causing problems is like medicine to him. I am sick with displeasure to him. He is overcome with his ill feelings. The death of this marriage he is determined to destroy. Only to despite them I will endeavour anything. He will try anything to cause problems. He knows it's dishonest and yet continues, even though this will harm a sweet, innocent woman. Step 5. Consider what your overall argument will be. So try to sum up your overall idea in a sentence. It's useful if you can bring context into your essay as soon as possible to consider if it applies to the question. Consider why the character or relationship is presented that way. Why is Don John a villain? Why is he destructive? What's motivated that villainy? Pause the video for 2 minutes to write down your overall argument. So you may have written something like this. Don John is presented as a villain, desperate to destroy the marriage of Claudio and Hero. His fury towards Claudio, Don Pedro's right-hand man, is connected with his bitterness towards his brother. Don John is the bastard, and has presumably suffered with the stigma of this. However, his desire to harm Hero, a sweet, innocent woman, shows his truly destructive and unforgivable demeanour. He is the plain-dealing villain of the play, and receives no sympathy from the audience for his actions, which kill both the marriage and Hero, at least for a time. The final step is to start to write your essay. Remember, you need to include clear points, which answer the question and argue an idea, evidence from the text, literary terminology, analysis of language and structure, and reference to context. So let's go through this example paragraph together. Don John is first presented as a villain in Act 3, Scene 1, when he shows his evil nature to the audience through his conversation with Conrad. Conrad tries to encourage Don John to keep up appearances, but Don John is unwilling to do this. He is accepting that he is disliked. It better fits my blood to be disdained, indicating his melancholic nature. Don John likens the experience of being controlled by his brother to feeling like an animal, as he uses the metaphor, I am trusted with a muzzle, and also refers to a cage. He feels trapped and frustrated that he is being contained and is desperate to shake off the shackles of society to cause harm. If I had my mouth, I would bite. The word bite emphasizes his desire to hurt. Don John's bitterness clearly stems from his relationship with his brother, and his bitterness towards him, as the legitimate son, has been a long-running issue. So now I would like you to take some time to write your own essay. So I'd like you to write at least one paragraph answering the exam question. Do more if you have time. I would like you to spend at least 10 minutes on this, or until the end of the lesson. Pause the video to do this now. Okay, well done for your work today. Next time you'll have a go at answering an exam question for yourself. So thank you very much, and I'll speak to you next time.